All right, you guys. So, welcome to another episode of the Sham-Cast. This week, I do not have a guest on. I've been, trying to get everything together and whatnot. And, I want to stay on this type of deal. I don't want there to need to be a guest in order for us to do this. Now, without further ado, let's just get into the real reason I wanted to talk to y'all today. I just got done finishing Marvel's Thunderbolts, which came out at the beginning of this summer. And I just want to go over the movie and then at the end tell you guys how I feel about it. And depending on how I feel, I might throw in a ranking. So let's see. So the movie opens up with Yelena Boscovich. Another thing before we get into the real meat of this video. I'm gonna be judging this movie as an independent film. I have not seen the Black Widow movie. I haven't seen the Hawkeye TV show. I haven't seen, Captain America and the Winter Soldier. And, just generally because I feel like these Marvel movies have been getting way more comfortable just putting out whatever it is that they want, that they feel like putting out that day. And I feel like a lot of these same sentiments can be shared with a lot of fans in the superhero genre, especially because Marvel was such a big swinger coming into this, obviously talking about Infinity War and Endgame. Ever since then, they had a couple highs, had a couple lows, but I just could not keep up as soon as they started mixing in the TV shows. So that was sort of where I called it. But, I don't hate Marvel. At the end of the day, it is a standard for superhero movies for a reason, So getting through all of that, I'm not going to know the history behind a lot of these characters. But at the end of the day, they put out a movie. People paid money to watch that movie regardless of if they seen the rest. So it's fair if I judge it as so. Also, let's get into it. So the movie opens up with Yelena just doing her good old 9-to-5 job. She's been on one mission. She's been on them all, strolling through, trying to destroy some evidence that this one lady wants to use for political reasons. Just deep state, big government, conspiracy, intrigue, all of that stuff. So, hold on, JoJo. We can go after this. So, Yelena is unsatisfied in her professional career, to say the least. But then that's when we start cutting to the head lady in charge, Valentina DeFontaine, in the middle of an impeachment hearing, which I have no idea. I'm assuming based off of Captain America Brave New World that she may be like president or some person in charge. I don't know. I heard the word impeach. She's walking around like she owns the place, so I just sort of went with it. Now, Valentina off top is, your standard slick talking politician, morally ambiguous villain as it comes to Marvel movies. But then as we keep going, Yelena so tired of her spy 9-to-5 that she's like, you know what, Yelena, after going and talking to Red Guardian, who is, doing fine, sitting in his little apartment, watching videos of the good old days, all that stuff, getting fat, getting drunk. And after Yelena decided to talk to him, Red Guardian is what I'm assuming, based off of what I see, has always been the heart of these teams. From the marketing material in the Black Widow movie to the marketing material in this movie, he just has a big old heart. So after a heart-to-heart with Yelena, she decides, maybe it's time to start this hero deal. My dog just went to go check on my mom. But, yeah, so then Yelena, newly motivated, newly inspired, decides to talk to Valentina to sort of have a more public role in the espionage work that she's doing, aka she wants to be a hero. Yay. Now Valentina hits her with the old, one more job and then you're out deal. And so that's when we go to a facility where they are working on what is called the Sentry Project. Yelena picks up a couple of like pamphlets, informational sheets or something, evidence to stow away on her person. And I'm starting to get excited because we're about to see the big man himself. So Yelena pops up, all that. Then out of nowhere, Taskmaster pops up. And then they start fighting. Apparently, oh, no, excuse me. No. Okay, so Taskmaster, does show up. That's where I found out that she was a girl. I heard a little bit about it in Black Widow, but I'm like, okay, cool. So then that's when John Walker shows up. All three of them are fighting. They each have separate objectives. Oh, I'm here to get rid of all this evidence. Oh, well, I'm here to get rid of you. Oh, well, I'm here to get rid of you. And they're fighting all this stuff. The action is pretty nice. I noticed that one of the first scenes when we see Yelena take down someone, they're not doing like the 40 million cuts for one takedown thing. So it was nice to actually get a sense of the flow of the action. Now, when all three of them are scrapping, arguing, quipping, that's when Ghost pops up. I had never seen this character in my entire life. First thought that pops through my head, oh, this ability is fucking broken, because she has the ability to phase through objects and people. So while everybody is fighting, she's sort of like, making short work of the situation. You can't even really touch her for real. But anyways, they all reach out a stalemate. Random dude pops up wearing scrubs. His name is Bob. I just assume that that's Sentry because, who is this dude? Why is he in this facility? Which are exactly the same questions they had for him. So with all the pieces in place, also Bucky's a senator. I told you I haven't seen Captain America Brave New World. That was news to me. So Bucky's a senator. He's off doing his own thing at this like charity event that Valentina's putting on, and all of us, and I'm noticing really fast that, oh, okay, this is not like a Suicide Squad situation, because that was one of my biggest things going into this movie. I'm like, oh, it's a ripoff Suicide Squad. It's a ripoff Suicide Squad. And I'm thinking this, and Valentina is doing her Valentina things. And that's when I noticed, oh, this lady is no Viola Davis. This lady is no Amanda Waller. She's straight up just like manipulative and vindictive for what I'm saying are the wrong reasons. Hey, we gonna get there, but I'm gonna tell you right now, Amanda Waller, I think Amanda Waller is just cooler. I guess, cause fucking she tried to do. You know what? Let me stop talking. Let's keep going. But anyways, so as the story progresses, everybody is in that bunker trying to do something that somebody else doesn't want them to do. There's bad shit in that building. And Valentina gets a little notification via her assistant, who was actually the one holding the iPad, also a fucking bro, immediately calls up Bucky. She's like, yo, this chick is fucking crazy. She's going to get us all killed, which if I had Bucky's phone number, I'd have did the same thing. So the news is that everybody was in that place at that time, so she can just basically shut the doors, cook them all right there. Clean slate, don't have to worry about another impeachment hearing in her life, done deal. Now, she wasn't counting on this scrappy group of ragtag mercenaries to actually start working together. And they figure out a way to get outside of the defensive, all that stuff. They keep going. And along the way, that's when we get our first look at Bob's sort of like, or something weird about Bob. So the whole room explodes. Yelena gets sent across the room along with everybody else, is unconscious for a little bit. When she's unconscious, she's recalling a very traumatic memory from her childhood as a child spy. And whenever she's looking around, she notices Bob, in the spot where all the bad shit was happening. So they open their eyes immediately. Like, Bob has no idea what's going on, it seems. He's like, oh, acting all aloof and stuff like that. I'll always make things worse type of dude. Yelena just sort of doesn't really do anything, moves past it. The new objective, get out of this facility. So right off top, being introduced with these characters, John Walker is a lot funnier than I expected. Dude is genuinely just hilarious, playing like the asshole role and stuff like that. And something that I'm gonna get into a little bit later, whenever I'm just going over what I think about the movie as a whole. The humor in this movie is less leaning on one-liners like fucking there's a fire sale, and more natural, banter between the characters, which is something that I appreciated. So with that being said, John Walker is funnier, and it does make me want to watch Falcon and the Winter Soldier for all the times that he will pop up. So anyway, they're going up this shaft, and right when they reach a door, stuff happens, but they all make it up there. Whenever Bob touches John Walker's hand, that's whenever he has repressed memory from him just being an asshole of a father and a husband to his family, all that stuff, yada yada yada. So that's when we're like, oh, okay, maybe there's something about this Bob dude. And John Walker's like looking at him weird and all that stuff. They already had a small argument, all that. So I'm like, interesting. What exactly is going on here? Are we talking telepathy? What's the deal? So as they're getting out, fucking Valentina's at the fucking ready because she can never be caught lacking. Fucking goes there herself with a fucking army damn near to go ahead get them out, but our cunning band of mercenaries sneaks out undetected because of our boy Bob. They're all the way in the truck, all that, about to drive out. As soon as that check happens, Ghost slides in the back seat all ethereal like, and the doors open. Turns out Bob is causing a distraction so they can get the hell out of there. They light his ass up like a firing squad, and he just gets right back up. His eyes start glowing yellow, shoots up in the sky. I'm like, oh shit is about to go down. So fast forward, they're driving across the desert, trying to figure out what to do next. Well, honestly, trying to fucking go back and not die to be fugitives from the law they left on the lam. And while they're waiting, somebody pulls up. Guess who it is? It's Red fucking Guardian. And I didn't know that Yelena was Red Guardian's daughter, so we get the whole fun thing about him popping out. I love David Harbour's energy in this role. Pops out, yo, does all that thing, whipping a fucking red limo with the Red Guardian on there. So fucking awesome. As they're driving, bantering, all that stuff, they see some cars come over the horizon. Oh shit. After a pretty funny scene, honestly, about Red Guardian fucking fiddling with the switches and whatnot, and John Walker fucking holding his shield up on the back windshield for dear life, trying to make sure somebody's head doesn't fucking explode like a watermelon. That's when Yelena jumps out, shoots one of the fucking SUVs, and that bitch explodes. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know Yelena was doing it like this. I don't know if she clipped the gas tank. Listen, I do not know the anatomy of a vehicle, but she shot the right spot, or so I thought, because then boom, cut to Bucky riding on a motorcycle, the fucking coolest man in the fucking world. Like, I'm telling you, this looked like a straight Harley Davidson ad. Dude got the shades on, the lean back on there. Hey, you already know this dude's about to fuck some shit up. So he has some weird gun that launches mines, because I guess he couldn't afford a grenade launcher. Takes out a couple more trucks, and because this is Bucky and this is a superhero movie and we need aura farming, it is a crucial part of the superhero ecosystem. Fuck it, grabs that ripcord, and we seen this in the trailer, grabs that ripcord, yanks that shit. Oh my god, it was so awesome. So everybody's like, oh yeah, good shit. Red Guardian's already like trying to form a team and all that stuff. And Bucky sends a mine their way. Nope, y'all are not getting away from this. So, fast forward over to, wherever Bucky's hiding them. Because, Bucky, Mr. Senator, state congressman, he needed some evidence for this impeachment hearing that was coming up, and they fucking got it. So, they're sitting there waiting all that. The Thunderbolts, they are called the Thunderbolts at this time. Fucking, they try to tell Bucky everything that's going on. Bucky is way too cool for school until he gets a call from the big lady himself. Talking about the Sentry. Well, actually, no, it wasn't. Actually, I can't remember if he doesn't get a call from Valentina, gets a call from Valentina's assistant. Again, I'm telling you, every time something happens, her assistant is right there on the phone with Bucky. It was awesome. And so they're like, she's basically confirming everything that they were telling her. And he's like, oh shit, I guess we got to do something about it. So they decide to pull up to what Valentina is using as the Avengers Tower. Now, fast forward over to what Valentina is doing with Bob. And we get to know him a little bit more. He worked as a sign twirler for some shop whenever he was on drugs and all that stuff. He's been pretty cards to the chest about his past, but he generally seems like a pretty chill dude. I would go get some drinks with him. I would game with him. And she immediately comes into the room like, oh, I'm the only person that understands you, like this, that, and the third. Like, I know your true potential. I know exactly what you can do and all that. And, Bob's warming up. He's like, okay. I've been like alone my whole life. I've been doing this, that, and the third. Maybe this is somebody that believes in me. And we've seen this a little bit with Yelena and all that stuff because they were making their whole escape. They made like small talk, all that. And, he forged, if you can call that a friendship, he forged an acquaintanceship, at least. So, already a lot of unstable things about this guy who has already been injected with a super experimental treatment that's supposed to give him the powers of a god. So whenever that happens, like, she successfully like gets in his head and all that. And I'm telling you, she has had all this planned out from the very beginning. Literally walks into the room with a Sentry belt buckle. Like, I mean, if you're coming to my bed with merch, like, we can at least like work something out. Anyways, everything was set up to him. Smash cut back to the Thunderbolts and all that. Decide to just drive straight through the front door of the building, all that. They get out, do like a cool fight and all that stuff. And Valentina, being the bad bitch she is, was like, oh, I left the doors unlocked. Y'all can just come right up. They end up going up. Bucky's about to get straight to it. Like, she's just doing her thing. She poured herself a drink. Valentina ain't worried about shit. This nigga Bucky literally goes over, takes the drink out of her hand, sets it on the counter. Shit was about to get down. And then that nigga Sentry comes down the stairs, fully kitted out. And I'm telling you, this suit was amazing. I remember in the trailers seeing like the blacked out silhouette and everything and all that. And I literally thought that they were just censoring that for the trailers. So I'm like, okay, this suit gotta be hard. Suit ended up being hard as fuck. Dude looked like how Homelander views himself in the mirror. Like, I promise you, this was the smallest taste that we get from Homelander from Marvel Studios and all that, and I loved it, especially because he wasn't an evil douchebag. Fuck it, I'm talking about Sentry. Homelander, completely different story. Sentry, he was just a dude. He was just a guy. And so Valentina's kind of like, my dude's here. Y'all are criminals. I'm about to clean up this whole mess right now. Sentry, take him out. So, Sentry, he's been drinking all this fucking Valentina Kool-Aid. So he's like, come on, you guys. Like, don't make me do this and all that. Thunderbolts aren't having it. They decide to square up. And just the power disparage between the Thunderbolts and Sentry was so fucking cool to watch. Like, I'm telling you, the CGI was on fucking point. Seeing this dude zip around, seeing this dude barely flinch at any attacks coming his way, fucking just watching him with his hands at his side, it actually seemed like as the fight went on longer, he fought less. Like, at first it's like, okay, you know, like deflecting attacks, like shrugging people off of him, and then it just got to the sense where, okay, people are like doing things that he just kind of like looking at him. Like, he literally folds John Walker's shield in half. It was crazy. Absolutely zero chance of any of that happening, but they ended up leaving. How do they end up escaping a situation like that, dare you ask? Well, let me tell you. So they're going down the elevator. Valentina's basically like, what the fuck? Why didn't you kill him? And he's like, why should I listen to you? And that's when I'm like, okay, that right there was what made the break between Suicide Squad and fucking and Thunderbolts for me. I'm like, ain't no way Amanda Waller would ever be caught in this situation. I don't give a fuck. She would kill herself before she fucking answered to fucking Sentry. But anyways, fucking they, you know, he's like immediately gets real big for his britches and all that, and it's like, you know, I'm a god, you're kind of bossing me around, telling me what to do, this, that, and the third. Nah, it's not gonna go down like that. She immediately goes for the kill switch, doesn't work because Sentry is fucking Sentry. Boom, assistant comes in, saves the day. And you know, they just had to talk about like morality and power and all that stuff, but I don't think this was the turn for the assistant or anything like that, because I would have did the same thing. I'm like, ain't no way we about to have Superman out here fucking just roaming free and existing when this nigga can't even fucking, this nigga can't even use regular scissors. He got to get his grown-ass man safety scissors. That's how fucking broken that shit is. And so he's dead and all that stuff. They're already up the elevator calling for cleanup and all that. And boom, nobody. And this is where we get the fucking trailer shots. And it is just the silhouette, like, in general. And I read a little bit about Sentry, but he's one of those like cosmic heroes, like way far out. I would say more obscure than the Guardians of the Galaxy are now, and they were already like D-list before they got their movie. And so I, you know, just going through YouTube essays and all that stuff, I had a faint idea of Sentry and the Void, but I'm like, oh, okay, they're doing it, this must be the Void. And I didn't exactly know how right I was until he started erasing people. Now, excuse me, but whenever I watched the trailer, I thought that he was just straight up murdering these people. Hey, if anybody has a better explanation, anybody came up with a better inference based on the information they were given, throw it my way. I'd love to hear it. I thought he was straight up murdering people. And we don't find out that he's not actually murdering people until a very nice scene where Red Guardian saves this little girl and she gets fucking blacked out, literally turned into a fucking Rorschach painting. So all of this is going on. Yelena is still like, you know, that's my boy Bobby, you know, like we bonded, all that. I know that this isn't like the end all be all. So she approaches the Void, boom, also gets sucked up into the blackness, which I'm like, okay. Now, that right there, just because Yelena is Yelena and fucking Black Widow was Black Widow and Marvel Studios is Marvel Studios, that told me that she wasn't dead. So, you know, smash cut, we're right back in Yelena's traumatic memory from her childhood and all that stuff. Tries to turn around and leave, boom, Looney Tunes wall, painted trees right there on the wall. We're like, okay, what the fuck? Turn around, tries to interfere with the intrusive memory it by itself, but the little girl that she got set up went full Rey Mysterio, took her ass out, boom, right back at square one, forced to relive these things. So decides, boom, breaking through walls, and gets to more memories and stuff like that until she comes across Bob. And Bob's just sitting, chilling in his room and all that stuff. Everybody else is like, yo, what the fuck? And, also Yelena, after losing the fight against Sentry, super demoralized, storms off. She was already tired of this shit. This whole movie, she's just been trying to get home. Fucking Red Guardian pops up, consoles her. They have that whole familial bond and all that stuff. And, she's doing a little better. So she went in there as emotionally prepared as you could be in a situation like that. So fast forward, comes across Bob sitting by his lonesome, all that. And, they continue the conversation they had back at the compound, which is basically, this is something that you gotta get over. You aren't completely alone. You still have people there for you. I know how it seems like how you make everything worse and all that, but that's life basically. And convinces Bob to go ahead and get out of there, all that stuff. So right when he decides that, shit starts flying around the room, boom, 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 and boom, that's when Yelena's other besties, the Thunderbolts, they decide, fuck it, it's time for a heroic moment of the movie. They all decided to go in after her. They found her. Now the five of them have to escape. As they're escaping, going through different doors, they're going through Bob's different traumatic memories and all that stuff until we land on the experimental treatment that put him in the situation in the first place. All the way across the room, we see the Void sitting, chilling, vibing out. And Bob, standing up to what we can just say at this point is his negative side. I mean, this is no fucking art student film, let me just say that. But immediately fucking subdues the rest of the Thunderbolts, all that. They're going mano a mano, and the Void is just getting his fucking ass whooped, fucking laughing, all that stuff. The darkness literally starts creeping up on Bob. That's when the whole power of friendship moment happens. They bust out of the restraints, they hold him down, he's like and then they end up leaving. The Void has dissipated. They're right back to where they were in New York. And whenever Bob goes through these episodes, he loses his memory. So even Bob doesn't know what the fuck happened. So while the Thunderbolts are, just trying to get past the situation, that's when they see good old Valentina over there trying to make her escape. They chase after her, hoping to injure her. And on the other side of that tent is an entire fucking press conference. She already had it set up. It was super slick. And introduces our lovable group as the new Avengers. And those are the credits. Now, Thunderbolts. Very cute movie. I would say that, because the whole, the logo of the Thunderbolts, I shit you not, was literally in asterisks. If you go back and look at the promotional material, you will literally see a fat ass asterisk. But actually, I could probably pull it up fast enough. Let's see, the Thunderbolts. Yep, right there. You can see it right there on all of them. Thunderbolts, asterisks, Thunderbolts, asterisks. That's actually crazy. But yeah, the asterisk was supposed to be because that team is our new Avengers. And then we hit the credits. Post-credit scene was just Red Guardian being hyped that his picture was on a box of Wheaties. And all in all, I would say this movie was definitely enjoyable, but I also feel like it was such a big nothing burger of a movie, especially with the reveal at the end. The whole movie just honestly, with the reveal at the end of the name change, the whole movie just sort of felt like a marketing ploy or like a way to buy time. And I know that's like a really cynical way to look at it, but I mean, I honestly don't know how else to put it. I mean, we got to see these characters in action. I felt like there was more banter between the characters than there was action or like revelations. And the reason I say that is because I feel like having a main villain that has the ability to go inside and like force people to re-experience certain events in their life could have been utilized a lot more creatively, as opposed to, oh, remember this? That was crazy, wasn't it? Oh, remember this? That was crazy, wasn't it? Because outside of Yelena, none of the memories were like manipulated. Like they weren't like super fucking amplified so that you just have like a nervous breakdown in the middle of broad daylight. It was literally just, okay, look at what happened to these characters that we didn't show in the other movies. And isn't that neat? Especially with the whole sequence at the end with the void just being like, they literally say this, a series of shame rooms, was definitely an interesting choice. And you know, while they ran through a couple of like rooms and all that stuff just to like get to the other side, we don't really see a lot of these characters coming to terms with that trauma. It's more like watching these characters learn how to ignore it, I would say. And you know, even honestly, I'm thinking about it now, Ghost didn't have any memories, and one of the biggest parts of her character was how she grew up experimented on in a lab, about how she literally had to create her suit to prevent her body from dissipating. Yeah, I'm thinking about it now, and they didn't do anything. They used that whole ability to show that John Walker was a shitty dad and husband, to give Yelena a bit more lore. But I mean, we already knew the Red Room shit was traumatic, but didn't touch Bucky, didn't touch Ghost, and didn't touch Red Guardian. So it definitely felt like more of a plot device than, you know, anything meaningful adding to the characters or the villain itself. That, yeah, it just kind of seemed like a way to keep the movie going, which honestly I'm kind of disappointed in, based off of how good the CGI was with Sentry whenever he was actually Sentry. So to just basically ignore Marvel Superman in favor of Marvel Inception definitely seemed like a weird choice for me. Also, with that being said, I said earlier that about the whole, like, you know, him and the void, and like, you know, him having to like fight the darkness and stuff, and it did just feel like a really heavy-handed metaphor for, you know, dealing with trauma, especially how, you know, cooperation and like, you know, having and being there for other people, as well as relying on the other people that are there for you, it seemed like the main conflict between Sentry and the Void was a little shallow, because again, we're literally watching the person that we're supposed to be rooting for, like, you know, literally beat the shadow of himself into submission and all that. And I don't know, it seemed very cliche. And the reason why I say that the whole thing just kind of felt shallow is because I feel like we've dealt with a lot of like dealing with trauma slash found family slash people are there for you storylines in the MCU. I mean, looking at, the Iron Man series, just in general, off the top of my head, I mean, Incredible Hulk, even in a way, could go there with the whole, like, alter ego thing and Bruce Banner's, like, solitude. I mean, we seen that with Thor whenever he had his whole fall from grace and had to sort of, reclaim Asgard, like, go back to being that pillar that everybody needed him to be. So it just seemed like another story that did need to happen, Also, Valentina getting away scot-free was also very not satisfying. And everybody just basically kind of looking the other way whenever they seen how much damage Valentina can do was also something that I wasn't particularly excited about. So, all in all, it wasn't the worst movie in the world. It also wasn't the best. If I had to describe what it felt like watching it, I would say it is the best 2-hour movie that felt like 30 minutes watching it. When it comes to Marvel movies, I feel like it's smack in the middle. Like, I feel like it's the safest Marvel movie, ambition wise, which is interesting because of how, like, overwhelmingly powerful Sentry is. But yeah, no, I said that, it's not really, like, quippy. Most of the humor comes from, like, the banter. The action was solid. I just felt like there wasn't enough of it. And thematically, it was interesting enough before it turned into Inception, Yeah, once I found out that void wasn't actually killing him, it seemed like the movie started to drag a little bit more, because also, like, at the end of the day, it doesn't really seem like there was any stakes, Like, yeah, like, it's interesting because the whole void, like, blackout thing, it reminded me of, like, a bad version of an infinite Tsukiyomi. Like, instead of being put in a cocoon to live out all your wildest dreams, you are put in a cocoon to relive all of, the traumatic moments in your life. Which didn't really seem like it was gonna go anywhere, And then just seeing, I don't know. But anyways, another issue that I had with the Void was that it literally just felt like another Thanos snap. It felt like they wanted to build off of, like, the horror of the idea of the Thanos snap, but without any of the balls to do that in a movie that wasn't, like, a main event. You know what I mean? Which I guess makes sense from a business standpoint, but also is sort of the same thing where it's like, okay, nothing's really, like, happening in this movie. Like, even when Sentry turned against Valentina, it's not like he went on, like, a whole crime spree and stuff like that. He literally just questioned her. All that. Ended up dying after he came back. It's not like he was destroying the whole city. Yes, he caused one plane crash, but he was just blipping people. And now that I know that they aren't dead, the damage could have been a lot fucking worse. So, visually, pretty good movie. Thematically, pretty shallow movie. And I don't know, for a Marvel movie, it was okay. I would definitely watch it again with somebody else, but I don't think this is something I would take time out of my day to actually sit down and watch again. Does make me more excited to watch Black Widow. Does make me more excited to watch Falcon and the Winter Soldier, or at least the new Captain America. But I guess I'll leave you guys with this. Another thing I did not like is how they hoed Taskmaster. Oh, they gave Taskmaster the fucking, what was the zip lining dude from the first Suicide Squad movie? Like I can't remember. They gave him that treatment. They gave Taskmaster the fucking Captain Boomerang treatment in the second Suicide Squad movie, which I hated. I want to see some Taskmaster, but I guess that's why I have the Black Widow movie. But yeah, that's what I thought about the Thunderbolts. Not a terrible movie. In total, I'd give it a cool 7 out of 10. Yeah. It was average. I didn't fall asleep through it. I checked my phone like probably 4 times, which, you know, when it comes to nothing burger movies, I count that as a dub. So, thank you guys for listening to my review of the Thunderbolts exclusively on the Sham-Cast right here. There we go. This is going to be going up on YouTube, same as all the other episodes. And be sure to check out my Instagram at _Shamwall5000_, where, you know, I post my musings and whatnot. Just started doing quote of the day over on TikTok, which has been real fun to just, you know, utilize my voice more, just put more content out there. And I decided not to do another update video because I can never stick to those things. So I'll leave you guys with this. I am making more stuff. I'm just trying to figure out how to put it out in an interesting way. And also, we got to get back to the JoJo University right here because we still got to finish the grooming arc because niggas are gross. But I think that's all I have to say to y'all today. Love your family. Drink some water. Go for a walk, you know? But my name's Carlos, and I am officially signing off. So have a good night.